There we go. Hey guys. All right. Sweet. That's it. Yeah, thank you. How's everyone doing today?
Great. Saturday's awesome.
Gotta love it. Yeah. Thank you guys for coming. I'm Bryce Papenbrook, if you didn't know. So this is going to be a really cool panel. We'll just kind of hang out and chat for an hour. So think of your questions. I'll just kind of bounce around and talk about whatever you guys want to chat about today. I think a good way to start, I did this yesterday, but I might as well because I see a lot of new faces. I'll tell you guys how I got into voice acting and kind of got here. When I was about 8 years old, my dad was working on a show called Power Rangers. Yay, Power Rangers! He used to play all the monsters, like a bunch of the monsters, and then Rito Revolto, the skeleton dude on the show. And at the end of his session, they needed a kid's voice, and my dad's like, he's a kid, throw him in the booth! And I became a voice actor. Yay! So I grew up around the industry, and it was really right in the middle of college that my career started picking up. I just happened to book something, and then book something else, and book something else, and I thought, this is really fun. I think I'm not going to go to law school, and I'm going to make funny voices in the booth instead, and I haven't looked back. So I've been really fortunate to book a ton of great roles. You might know me as Eren Yeager in Attack on Titan, Kirito in Sword Art Online, Naegi and Nagito in Danganronpa, Cat Noir in Miraculous Ladybug, and Wikipedia knows the rest. So what do you guys want to talk about? Anything, whatever. Did anyone go see Heaven's Feel last week? One?
Me, really?
Wow, okay, so are there any Fate fans in the audience? Sweet. Okay, cool. So Heaven's Feel is the first of 3 Fate movies, and they had like a limited theatrical run for it. So it played in about 200 theaters. Which one did you go to? Was there one near here?
Philadelphia, so I went to King Prussia.
Okay, sweet. In King Prussia. Awesome. Awesome. I saw it on Tuesday at LA Live. I'm from Los Angeles. And it was a great crowd. A bunch of the actors from the movie were there. And they played some really good behind the scenes bonus stuff. I hope they release that stuff out at some point because it's pretty good. It's pretty funny. Yes, it was fully dubbed, and
Wait, is Shiro in it?
yes.
Okay.
So it's for you guys who don't know, I play Shiro Emiya, and in Unlimited Blade Works, not in the oldest version, in the one that came out. What was that? 2 years ago? Something like that.
I think it was
There we go. But the one that's on Netflix. So now I'm back playing Shiro again in Heaven's Feel. It's the 3rd route that they haven't done yet. For you guys that are way into Fate, it's a very complicated story, so I'm not going to explain it to you guys. But the art is just beautiful. We called Unlimited Blade Works Unlimited Budget because of how much it would cost to animate that thing. And they stepped it up again with the movie. Actually, another guest here is in it. Kyle McCarley is here, and he was, you just hate his character so much. He's so good at making you hate him. Shinji. Yeah. Hopefully that's not some sort of fire alarm. Yeah, it's a Titan alarm. Don't worry, guys. I got this. Okay. No. I'll wait. So, does anyone have any questions for me? Where should we start? Yeah.
I thought that your most interesting was his from Bravely Default.
Awesome. Thank you. Yeah. Bravely Default is a really fun game. Really awesome.
One of my favorites. And I just wondered, what what was it like playing that character? He seems very complex.
Yeah, he is. I mean, I think we get to dive even deeper. You want to join me up here? Brad, if you want to come hang out. I won't drive your mom crazy. He's like, I'm down. Yeah, I mean, being Tiz was really, really awesome. I'm a big fan of Square Enix games. I grew up playing Final Fantasy. Like, I started with the original Final Fantasy, and then I played 3, aka 6, all the way through, and then 7. I have Final Fantasy 9 sitting at my house ready to be played, and I've been saying this for years, but I know if I get into a Final Fantasy game, I will dip off the face of the earth. So I actually voiced Zidane also, who's the lead. Yeah! He's the lead of Final Fantasy IX, and he does not talk in the original Final Fantasy IX, but he does in all the Dissidia series. So Dissidia, which is on all the lanyards, which is so cool. NT just came out, and it's really, really awesome. But the nostalgia of the side-scrolling game is just, it's really heavy with Bravely Default. It's like, I wish I could take Final Fantasy with me everywhere, and now you can, which is so cool. I hope they make a Bravely 3rd.
I do too.
Yeah. I was really happy with the performance in Bravely 2nd. They actually loosened the reins on us a little bit. Sometimes they want the performance of English to be very true to the Japanese. And in Bravely Default, it was very close to the Japanese performance. In Bravely 2nd, they didn't care about that as much. They're like, you guys know the characters, you guys just have fun with this, which is really great to have that freedom. So I was really happy with the performance in Bravely 2nd. And fingers crossed we get to do it again. Yes?
What was it like to play Asbel in Tales of Graces?
Incredible. I mentioned this yesterday also, but the director of that game is Wendy Lee, who is like one of the nicest, sweetest people in the world. So it's just amazing getting to work with her like on a consistent basis. I had 3,600 lines as Asbel. He talks a lot. I mean, it's a stacked game. I recorded for about 4 months with her. And we spent 2.5 months recording, then I got married, I went on my honeymoon, and then I came back and recorded more as Asbel. So I just think back to that time in my life and that time in my career, and it's all good memories. So it's really fun to think about working on that game, and I hope I get to work on another Tales game in the future. Yeah, that'd be awesome. You never know. I actually, I filled in for Robbie when he was, so sick that he could not talk. So they're doing these things now called simuldubs. And what happens is every week a new episode of a show comes out. So Funimation had Tales of Zestria. And Robbie, who plays the main character, could not talk. He got so sick that he couldn't perform, but the show must go on. So they reached out to me and they're like, you've been in Tales before, right? I'm like, yeah. They're like, you want to fill in for Robbie? I'm like, okay. So it was like Asbel Lance guest starring in Tales of Zestria for 4 random episodes. But then Robbie came back and dubbed over my work, so it's him. But for a short period of time, I was in another Tales project. But hopefully it happens again. Yes?
So is there any project that you weren't a part of that you would have liked to have been a part of?
Tons. The real job of being a voice actor is trying to get a job. You constantly are auditioning. And I've read for all sorts of projects. I live in Los Angeles, but I've now kind of got in the fold with Funimation, so I audition all the time. And for all sorts of companies, from Disney, Nickelodeon, Warner Brothers, everybody, DreamWorks. There's tons of projects I would have loved to have been a part of, but most of the time it doesn't work out. If you book 1 out of 100 auditions, you're doing extremely well. So what I try to do, knowing that, I don't attach myself or fall in love with any particular character until it's like announced and out there in the world. I did get cast in this original show, and we recorded the first episode. They wrote the next 13 episodes. We came back, recorded episode 2. They had a sample of episode 1, which was amazing. We recorded episode 3, and then it disappeared. And it never saw the light of day, and it was such a fun show. So I can't talk about it because it may come back. I'm still like, please come back. So I have to not fall in love with a character until it's like out in the world and very real, because that stuff happens all the time. Yes? I do.
How did you get in character for Henry?
So Henry, if you guys are familiar with Henry, I'll give you a little story about my first experience with him. So when you work for Nintendo, they don't tell you what game you're working on. They use these code names. So I get called into a game. I have no idea what this game is. I have no idea what character I'm playing. And they give me a picture of Henry, and he's wearing this dark coat, and he's holding a crow, and he's smiling. That's all I got. So I get in the booth, and Patrick Seitz, another great voice actor and director, he was directing that day, and he's like, all right, let's come up with a voice for Henry. And he's like, take a look at the script. And the first line was, yay, blood. Yes, yay, blood. So he's like, okay, what do you got? So I just go, yay, blood. And he's like, he's more excited about this. Okay. Yay, blood. Like 100 times more excited about this. Yay, blood. And that's Henry. He's become, for me, like evil Elmo. And I think the latest iteration of Henry, because he's in Fire Emblem Heroes, and they released like a Halloween version of him, like he's full on evil Elmo.
Wait, except he doesn't talk in third-person point perspective.
That's true. That's true. Maybe we'll sneak that in a future iteration. I'll see if I can get Nintendo to do that.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yes. We'll go 1 and 2.
What was your funniest mess up or blooper in your career?
In my whole career? Well, there's a lot of them. If you guys have seen any of the bloopers that are out there, I love bloopers. I actually do them on purpose to try to get the engineer and the director just to laugh. So there's some really good ones from SAO2. And at Anime Expo a couple years ago, during the SAO panel, they actually played a blooper reel in front of about 2,000 people. So I, on purpose, would say the most disgusting things I could think of, like Urban Dictionary, like words that you'd have to look up, just to get the director to laugh, to get Alex Von David to laugh, and those are the ones they used. So Kirito says some terrible, terrible things. Don't recommend you look it up because someone was out there filming and it's up on YouTube. You go look it up. Do not look it up, especially don't Urban Dictionary what I say. Do it. Really, really bad stuff. Yes. Your turn. Yes, sitting right next to Kirito. Yes. Oh, sorry, with the blonde hair. Yeah. Sorry. I couldn't see your Sailor Moon. Sorry. Yes. What's it feel like working as him? I mean, it's an amazing role to play. He's super overpowered. He has God mode running, and all the ladies love him. I mean, you can't go wrong there. It's also really fun as the show kind of changes. So each arc, it kind of reinvents itself, and you get like this different vibe between like Aincrad and the Fairy arc, and GGO and Caliber. Like, you get these different vibes. So I love that. It kind of opens up the show to more people, because you might not like, you know, the fairy arc, but you might love GGO. So it's really interesting how they do that, and I'm very excited to see what season 3 has in store. It's gonna be good. October. I can verify it's coming in October, so yay! It's gonna be good. It's gonna be really good. Yes, back there.
So all the characters in Durarara are very interesting and intriguing. How did you like being that so?
So who's seen Durarara? Awesome. Okay. If you haven't, it's another very kind of complicated story. It takes place in Ikebukuro, and there's all these different really interesting characters, and they have all their stories, and they kind of weave into each other by the end of the season, and season 2 does it again with even more characters. So my character's name is Masao Mikita, and he's the ladies' man. I mean, I got to go into work and say things like, live by the boobie, die by the boobie. Like, that's a good day at work. So I have a funny story about one of the words that Masaomi says. So he's walking, and Henri, this girl that's part of the group of 3, is walking right next to them, and he says, Henri's so boobylicious, so sexy cute, so boobylicious. That wasn't in the translation from the Japanese. It actually was translated to roughly bootylicious, but we were in the booth and we're like, I don't know if she's bootylicious. She's more boobylicious. And I was on a panel with the Japanese actor who plays Mikado. And this is all the Japanese that I know. So I told that story, and I asked him after, I'm like, how do I say boobylicious in Japanese? And he's like, oh, boing. You're welcome. You've all learned something today. So I'm going to just kind of work around. I'll come back to you guys. So in the back, and then I'm going to jump over here. So we got 1, then 2.
Have you started dubbing anything for season 2 of 7 Deadly Sins?
I have no idea when that's going to start. Fingers crossed it's really soon. It's got to be really soon.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Meliodas is such a fun character to play, so I just cannot wait to see what happens.
Are you more excited about that or Attack on Titan season 3?
I mean, you make me choose between those 2 shows? Like, yes, do it, choose, tell me your favorite. I mean, they both exist in my mind, I can't make them angry. I mean, it's so difficult to get work, and to get projects like those shows is just incredible. So I'm stoked. I mean, I'm going to be talking a lot this year, and it's exciting to have a little bit of job security in this industry. Like, you literally go through these ups and downs as an actor. It's like, yay, I'm working. Oh, I died. He's getting closer and closer. He's going to make it up here. I'll give him a microphone, though. I'll have to talk to everybody. But it's going to be good. It's going to be really good. Yes?
This one?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, now this was basically something I saw last week, and I wanted to ask, how was it like playing Sora in the death battle versus Sora and Pit?
Oh, yeah. So that was really interesting. I worked on, it's called Death Battle, and it's something I believe Rooster Teeth does. And they take 2 characters and they talk about them, and then they fight to the death. So I got to play, I was cast as Sora from Kingdom Hearts, and I thought that was a really interesting casting choice. It was fun and exciting to play that character. It makes me like actually want to play Sora. So you never know. I mean, stranger things have happened. Sometimes people get busy and they have to replace voice actors, but it was really cool kind of jumping in that role and stepping into that role even for a second. It was fun. And I'm glad people really liked it. Justin Briner, who plays Pitt in that, is the lead of My Hero Academia, or Academia, how do you say it? I don't know. Academia, there we go, thank you. And he's another really talented voice actor, and right as that was coming out, I had just met Justin, like we just hung out at a con, and I'm like, oh, we're fighting to the death, sweet. So yeah, he's another great actor, and he sounds amazing in it too. So I'm going to start on the back on this side and kind of work back around. Yes?
How was it like voicing characters in Danganronpa series? Would you like better?
Yeah, so Danganronpa is a really awesome series. Who has no idea what Danganronpa is?
I love Danganronpa.
Your tattoo is dope. Is that real? Oh my gosh, that's so cool. We'll get back to that. So Danganronpa, it's really, really fun. So it's all about the first season. I won't go too deep into it. There's like this group of super skilled kids that go to this school, and this evil mechanical bear says they have to kill each other and get away with it, or they're all gonna die. Yeah? Yay! So, my character is named Nagy. He's like the sort of detective that's solving the murders and figuring it out. And as I was working on the first game, I had no idea who was going to die next, what the clues were, or how the cases would go. So it was like I was watching a movie in my mind. In the second one, I get to play Nagito, who's insane, and it felt like I was playing the Joker. It was really, really fun. And in the anime, who's seen all of the anime? Speaking of bloopers, my characters talk to each other at the very end of the series, and I thought, how could I miss this opportunity to sneak a blooper in there? So Nagito reaches out and grabs Nagi's hand, and he goes, his hands are so soft. And then Nagy goes, why was he sticky? So Danganronpa was a simuldub. And a couple days after I did that, they released the episode and immediately released a piece of PR that said, we apologize, a blooper made it into the episode, and we are so sorry. And I was like, no, they caught me. Like, this is bad. And it was someone else's blooper. Mine made it to the Blu-ray! It's canon now. Oh, so sometimes it works out really well. There's no going back now. It's in the Blu-ray. Yes, over here. Yeah.
Sorry, I have to stand.
Go for it.
Compare Kyoto to SAO1 to SAO origin scale.
Kirito at the beginning of the story versus Kirito at ordinal scale. Well, I think it's really funny to see Kirito act heroic in the real world. Asuna has some really funny lines, how she talks about how Kirito's out of shape. I thought that was great. I think, one thing that's different from the beginning of the story is their relationship has gone so much further. And that's something that I love about Sword Art. The action and the world that they build is incredible, but the love story that they build in this digital world is this true love that comes out of something not real. And I think that's really interesting. And it's incredible that love has carried through the entire story, and who's not seen Ordinal Scale? So I can't spoil it, but I love the love. It's really cool to see the relationship between Kirito and Asuna, and it grow, and I'm excited to see what's going to happen in season 3 with those characters. You got to go see the movie. Oh man, Mother's Rosario is rough. Oh, it's rough. It's hard to watch that and not get misty. Yes, over here. So go 1 and then 2. Orange hair first.
Hey, Miraculous, is there going to be any more merit chat moments?
You know, it's hard to say because we're still working on season 2. So who's seen Miraculous Ladybug? Sweet. Okay. For the people who have no idea what that is, it's a French show about superheroes in Paris. I play Adrian, aka Cat Noir, who's supermodel by day and superhero by later in the day. Sometimes night. In the Christmas special, Cat in the Night. So it's a really fun show, and it really reminds me of Sailor Moon because like every episode, it's another like bad guy from the city. They have to go through their transformation. They have to, you know, de-evilize them. It's a great show. And in the show, there's some interesting shipping. There's a shipping square. Do you want to explain the square? Who has a really good explanation? You're like, I got this. You gotta be loud. Be loud.
Marty Chat is Marinette and Chat Noir.
Okay.
We have Adrian, Ladybug and Adrian.
Okay.
We have Adrianette.
Adrianette. Okay, good.
That's here. And also we have Ladybug and Chat Noir.
Lady Noir. So it's like them inside superhero and them in their like regular high school thing, and it's all shipped in a square. But they have no idea that the other is Cat Noir or Ladybug, and they'll never. They always get so close, but they'll never figure it out. So people ask me all the time, like, who do you ship in the square? There's no right answer. It's not fair. So I'm a big fan of the entire square. Like, can't there just be love all around? But I'm sure that those kind of moments will continue. There's been some really good ones in season 2. Yes. So we'll keep moving forward. So yeah, go 1, 2, 3. Yes.
What was your reaction when you first saw the art for Kyoto and the Gun Gale art?
So you're probably referring to seeing Kirito as a girl, or in a female avatar. I was really excited because I really wanted to play him as a girl. So I was working at this studio called Bang Zoom where they record sword art, and Alex Von David, the director, was working on another show called Madoka Magica, which is this really dark, magical girl show. And he was explaining it to me, and I said, I want to be a magical girl. And like, for a second, his eyes lit up, and he looked over at our producer, Hiroe, and she went, So I was not allowed to be a magical girl in Madoka, but Kirito was my opportunity to play him as a magical girl. And there's a moment which is like one of my favorite moments of Gun Gale, where he's like all around these like dark, grungy gamers, and he goes, hey guys, hope y'all root for me! And there's pink and sparkles and it's beautiful and there's a million outtakes. So yeah, it's really cool that I got that opportunity. So yes.
What is the strangest audition you've ever gone in for?
The strangest audition? I mean, there's all sorts of weird stuff out there. It's hard to say like what's the weirdest. And by strange, do you mean like the show itself was strange, or like the character was strange, or like I didn't understand something about it, or like
Just, I guess, the show, yeah.
the show itself? I mean, well, I guess it makes more sense now, but before Rick and Morty came out, I read for Morty, and it was really weird. Like, the sides were super strange. I had no idea what was going on. I mean, I love how Morty sounds, so that's one of those shows where it's like, I would have loved to be part of that. I've binged that entire show, but, you know, wasn't right for it. So, I mean, that's one that was super, like, obscure, and I had no idea what I was saying. Yes?
I just found this out. How is it like working as Theo for Persona Q?
Yeah, so you Persona fans out there, in Persona Q, Theodore comes back, he's like a younger version of himself. So I got to take over the role, and it was really cool. There's some interesting pictures of him, like wearing a very colorful apron and getting picked on by his sister. So it was super fun playing him. It was like I did my best to get as close to Travis Willingham's voice as possible. And if you guys know who Travis is, he's like a big dude with a very deep voice, and I sound like I'm in middle school. So it was a challenge for me, but I felt like I played a smaller version of Travis in that, so it was really cool. Yes?
Oh, weren't you in Kaishi?
I was, yes. I can't remember the name of my character because I was one of the students, and like I had just enough lines for them to call me in. I'd talk for maybe 5 minutes, and that was it. But that was a great show. Yeah. Back in the day, that was a good one. Yes.
How's it like working in Twin Star Exorcist?
So, who's heard of Twin Star Exorcists? Great, awesome. It's a really, really cool show. At this point, I have the Exorcist market locked down. So I play Reno Kumura, Blue Exorcist, and now, yeah! And now Rokuro, one of the Twin Stars. It's a really great show, and we've actually been working on Twin Star for over a year. So I wasn't able to talk about it for a really long time. But it's such a fun show. It's like super lighthearted and then super dark and like really, really dark and then super lighthearted again. Like, so it's fun and comedy and action. I scream a lot. And yeah, I can't wait for people to see it. It's got an amazing cast too. Cassandra Morris plays the other twin star, Benio, and I believe it comes out later this month. Yeah, so definitely check that out, Twin Star Exorcists. Yes? Anyone familiar with Hope Bagels? So yeah, I'm familiar with Nico B, and I've signed a couple of Hope Bagels before.
What's a Hope Bagel?
Exactly, what's a Hope Bagel?
Actual bagel? Yes.
It's a real bagel, filled with hope. We need more hope food. I think it's hilarious. Yes?
Touching back on the whole Exorcist thing, I love Briner. So I wanted to know how you felt playing him, and then also your thoughts on the Kyoto Saga.
Yeah. So it was really fun playing Rin. I feel like that's the character that I personally relate the most to. Like Rin when he's happy. Oh, thank you. Like not when he's like demon flames burning people. Like I'm not gonna do that. Don't worry. But when he just like appreciates the little things, he gets like super excited about stuff. Like it's just kind of me. And I don't have to change my voice very much. Like, I feel like I jump in the booth and I'm Rin. Actually, when I play other characters, Rin sneaks into the role. So, like, I recorded all of Blue Exorcist and then immediately got cast as Kirito. And it's with the same director, the same producer. So they're very familiar with my performance as Rin. And I would say a line, and to hear the director, they have to hit a button. So Alex would go, "Rin, get out of the booth." And I would try again, and I'd get back into Kirito mode, and then a couple lines later, he'd be like, "No, Rin, no." So Rin sneaks in there all the time. But yeah, really, really cool to play him. The movie was like a present. And Kyoto Saga was just so much fun to be a part of. I feel like when I record as a character and I leave the booth, I kind of take a piece of that character with me. And like when I'm done recording as Rin, I just like can't stop smiling. So it's always really, really cool to play that. What makes me most excited about the Kyoto Saga, at the end of season 1, they veered off the manga. So it goes on its kind of own arc. The Kyoto Saga kind of backtracks in time. It like erases that part, and then it starts going with the manga. So that makes me really hopeful that there'll be more. Fingers crossed. Okay, we'll jump back on this side. Yes.
Okay. What other characters do you want to do in horror?
Wow, which one would I like to do, or what did I want to play? I mean, I really wanted to play Adrian. I actually, the auditioning process was super grueling and super competitive. I read for him once and submitted the audition. They sent me some notes back, which is always a good sign. Then I read for him again. Then they called me in to read for Jeremy Zag. So I went and met Jeremy and I read for him again, a third time in person, and then they cast me. So it was like 3 callbacks, like 3 very distinct auditions to get the part. I mean, other characters that would be fun, like Plag is a really fun character, but Max does a really amazing job with Plag. I think as far as like the bad guys that are fun, I really like Evillustrator. But again, Michael Sinter-Nicholas does an amazing job playing Evillustrator. So I think they got the casting right. I'm really happy with it. Yes? My favorite line of Meliodas. Wow, it's one of the dirty ones. Sorry, Mom! I'll keep it as PG-13 as possible. So Meliodas is this 3,000-year-old overpowered pervert. And I say, like, he's gotten really good at being perverted. Meliodas is like me, but I have to raise my eyebrows so high that it stretches out my vocal cords. That's Meliodas. So there's a moment where he goes under Elizabeth's skirt, and he says something along... You're like shaking your head no. He says something along the lines of, this'll make it better. And in Japanese, it was a clear, like, he said it in a very clear way. Well, I was like, he's under her skirt, so I did it like this. This'll make it better. And that's the one they used. Yeah. Sorry, Mom! So I think that's probably one of my favorite. Do you have a favorite line as Meliodas?
I think scene was like when they were looking for Diane, and then Meliodas told us to do it.
Another dirty line. Sorry, Mom. Here's one that's not so perverted. The moment where he sees Bond again for the first time, and he just goes, Bond! He's like, Captain, Bond! And then they go, ha 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 ha. They have a high five. I was at a convention and there was a game room and it was super dark in there, a bunch of people playing video games, and I like to sneak into those if they have Super Smash Brothers for N64. Because I'm good at the 64 version, I'm not good at any of the other versions. I play Pikachu and troll people. So this Bond cosplayer walks in and it's like super dark and I just go, Bond! And he's like, what the? And he just walks in and then someone came up to him and they're like, no, that's the voice actor from Meliodas. And he got super excited and we high-fived. Yes?
So I've seen other panels that you've been on with like Sword Art Online voice actors and you all see like, you know, such like a close group. Are you like that with like any of your other projects that you're on?
Yeah, so interestingly enough, we all record separately. When you're working on anime, you're actually watching the show and you're talking as your character is talking, and you try to make it not look like Godzilla. We record in the booth by ourselves. So like, Shermie and I hadn't met until after those scenes in the cabin where our characters are literally falling in love. So that just, you know, tip of the hat to Alex Von David for the amazing direction. But since then, we've become really good friends. Actually, Shermie and my wife are really good friends, so they hang out all the time, probably more than I hang out with Shermie. But I've become really close with a lot of the actors from Texas. Attack on Titan was the first job I was cast in out there, and I would actually fly to Dallas, and I stayed there, stayed with Mike McFarland, and then we would drive to the studio every day. Mike listens to metal music, so it'd be like 30 minutes of like, rah, 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 rah. And then I would scream as Aaron Yeager for like 8 hours a day, like, rah, 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 rah. So it was really fun. But since then, I've become really close with Trina Nishimura, who plays Mikasa. We're like travel buddies because we've gone to a bunch of conventions together. We actually really got to hang out at this con called Supernova in Australia, and we hadn't really talked that much during the recording process, so we're like, I think we both were like, I hope we like each other, but we really got to know each other on stage and hit it off really well. So Trina and I are travel buddies. But yeah, I've become close with a bunch of the people at Funimation. Also, not sure if you guys know this, I'm the co-founder of an app called Unlocked. And what Unlocked does is it connects actors and voice actors and cosplayers to fans around the world. So I've been reaching out to a lot of the people in the community and becoming a lot closer to them. I love the app also, so it's like I get to keep up with a bunch of the actors that I don't get to see all the time, because you can live stream like behind the scenes and stuff. So yeah, I've actually become closer to a lot of actors because of Unlocked. So yeah, super excited. Yes?
So out of all the characters that you voice that have some kind of superpower or special ability, which one would you like to have in the real world and why?
Wow. It's hard to say because there's still a lot of characters and seasons coming out. So I don't know the extent of like, and I don't read the manga or the light novels. So I have no idea how powerful Aaron's gonna get. No idea where Kirito is gonna go. No idea how powerful Meliodas is gonna get. He's already super overpowered. I have a feeling he's gonna get even stronger. I mean, Reno Kumura, we don't know how powerful he's gonna get. So like, it's hard to say. I mean, Shiro Emiya, like, I don't know.
Staz is pretty OP too.
Staz is really overpowered. Who's seen Blood Lad?
I've seen it before.
Okay, so I highly recommend watching Blood Lad. I think it's on Hulu still. So my character's name is Staz, and he's this vampire mob boss otaku. Like, I think that's the closest I'm gonna get to doing a Kamehameha, because he's literally like, in this battle, he's like, I'm gonna use the move from one of the most powerful fighters in the universe. Kamehameha! And gets kicked in the face. So that show was really fun because day one, the producers came in and they're like, don't even worry about that script. You guys just have fun with this. And we're like, yes. So, almost. He's actually being really good. So day one, they're like, don't even worry about the script. So I got a lot of my improvs into the show. Like, there's a moment, it's in that battle, he elbows the guy he's fighting, and the guy just goes like, pew! So right before the elbow, I go, finish him. And it made it into the show. Yes. So that one's really, really fun.
Also the heart constriction.
Oh my gosh. That's where he kills Todd Habercorn. Spoiler! So he has this power where he can like reach into someone's like body and just smash their heart. And as he's doing it, he goes, heart constriction! Zip! And it goes, yeah, that show's fun. I wish they would make more. That's another one where it's like, we need more.
There's more in the manga.
I know.
They leave the anime off at like a cliffhanger.
It got buried in the Sailor Moon hype. So you never know, like Blue Exorcist was gone for about 5 years and then it came back, so I'm really hoping that that'll happen with Blood Lad. There's some funny bloopers in that show too. Oh, they're so good. They're on YouTube also. Not as dirty as the SAO ones, but pretty good. Yes.
Me?
Yeah.
Is it okay if I can ask you a
Go for it.
Okay, so this first question is going to relate to cosplay. If
Sure.
you were given the chance to cosplay as Eren Yeager or Asbel from Tales of Graces, who would you choose and why?
So actually, I have cosplayed as Eren. It was the only cosplay I've ever done, and I helped produce this thing called the Cosplay Ball, and it was at a club in Los Angeles. And my buddy Dante Bosco, Rufio, he was very well connected in the sort of club scene, so he got a hookup for this, and we put on this event, and I had to cosplay, and it was right after they announced me as Eren, so I was like, it's probably got to be Eren, and a couple people helped put the cosplay together, and they put a wig on me, and I was like, it lasted for maybe 2 seconds. I was like, oh, the wig fell off. So hats off to everyone out here that has wigs on. I don't know how you do it.
You would look great as Eren, trust me. You would look really great as Eren.
Thank you. So I lasted a bit. I had the cape, and it was like a very like comfortable cosplay after the wig flew to the other side of the room. And then what was your second question?
Okay, my second question is, what was your most challenging role in anime?
My most challenging role?
Toughest role in anime?
I mean, they all have different kinds of challenges. I think screaming as Eren and Kirito is like gotta be up there. We would take the last 15 minutes of every session just to scream as Kirito. Because when you listen to Mr. Matsuoka, the Japanese actor, and you hear his screams, like they give you like shivers. And we wanted to capture that same feeling. So we would just scream and scream and scream until we got it. Until we landed on one that we were happy with, and it was really tough. In Attack on Titan, I mentioned Mike McFarland. Mike is the voice of Master Roshi. And whenever you're working with, yeah, he's awesome.
Jean from Attack on Titan.
And he plays Jean, that horse face. So whenever you're working with someone that's a part of Dragon Ball, you cannot complain about screaming. And what Mike wanted for Attack on Titan was something gritty and something disgusting. So normally, like when you're recording, you take a sip of water, you kind of like get the spit out of your mouth and all the nasty sounds and the clicks. But for Attack on Titan, we did the exact opposite. Like he wanted this raw, like gnarly sound, and I did too. So I was really happy that that's what he wanted. I knew what I was getting myself into. It was super intense. And actually, I really did suffer for that role. I don't know if everyone does this, but I try to do the physicality that like my characters do as much as possible. For example, in Blue Exorcist, there's a moment where like this monster is standing on Rin's neck, so I choked myself a little bit. In Attack on Titan, Eren bites his hand. I actually bit my hand so hard that I left a bruise. But it sounds gnarly, like someone's biting their hand and it's hurting. Because I actually did. In season 2, there's this moment where Eren is more unhinged than he ever was. He's super angry, so I literally unhinged my jaw. But it sounds so gnarly. But the problem with doing that is I bit my tongue, and then I was, kind of bleeding. But then Eren was spitting blood, so it just sounded so right for the part. So I've literally suffered for Attack on Titan, but I'm happy to do that.
But at least you made it through, and great job with that. You rock, Eren!
Thank you so much. I'm very excited to come back and play him again. It's gonna be good.
For season 3.
Me too.
I'm dying to figure out what else is gonna lie ahead of us.
Okay, so I only have about 5 more minutes left. I'll try to answer as many questions as I can. And if I miss you guys, please come to my autographs after and ask your question. Yes? Yeah, I mean, so the question was, is there a character that I disliked voice acting for? And you know what I'm a fan of is paying my rent. So I really do appreciate all the work that I get. There's characters that I don't like as characters, like, and I'm not sure if this one's been announced, but there's a character that everybody hates him. I mean, that's the point of the character, like, you don't like this guy. But it's really fun to be that person, to like step into their shoes for that short amount of time in the booth. So while I might not like them as a character, I like playing them. So yeah, I don't really dislike any of the work that I get. Yes, over here. I mean, they're both fun. Like, you know, you get to play like this kid who's a supermodel and kind of popular, and then to play like the suaveness of Cat Noir. I really do like the cheesy cat puns. Do you want to help me out with your favorite? That's a cat pun! I'm trying to sneak as many cat puns as possible into season 2 to make it the punniest language of all of them.
Perfect!
Yes, I will make it perfect. Thank you. Thank you. Yes. Yeah.
I have 2 questions.
Go for it.
I was wondering, what's your favorite line as Cat Noir, and what's your favorite blooper from the Cat Noir?
Favorite line as Cat Noir. Wow, there's so many good ones. I was just watching, actually this morning, there's a YouTube video, and it's like this little scene, and Adrian is like the narrator, and he just talks about like sort of himself and what he's doing, and he has a really cheesy... He has a really cheesy line about his, like, he'll spend all his fighting for his whole life, or all his lives, all 9 of them, something like that. I think that was a really fun, cheesy line. And then my favorite blooper is Aaron. So there's a lot of them. There's a lot of moments where Armin and a lot of the people in Attack on Titan just tell Aaron that his idea is bad. Aaron has a lot of bad ideas, like, I'm gonna go kill all the Titans now. And then Armin just goes, Aaron, no! So I would like say a line as Aaron. I'd be like, I'm gonna get them. No, Aaron, wait. No! Like, and then a bunch of the cast started pretending to be Armin and giving like Armin bloopers. So those are really fun. There's also a line request, and I'm sorry, I'm probably gonna have to finish with this story. There's a lot of interesting shipping in Attack on Titan. And I was at this convention in Australia, and this girl comes up to me and says, can you say a line for me? And I'm like, of course. And she's like, can you say something as Eren Yeager? I'm like, yeah, what would you like me to say? And she says, can you say Levi looks dead sexy in a miniskirt? So of course, I look her straight in the eye and I say, Levi looks dead sexy in a miniskirt. And the ship is strong. I was at this con in England, and this girl comes up to me with a very interesting piece showing Eren and Levi in a very precarious position. And I asked, should I look inside this? And they're like, don't. So I immediately took a picture of it and texted it to Matthew Mercer. I said, hi from the UK. So I think he enjoyed that. And that ship is very strong. Well, with that, thank you guys so much. I have autographs after this. I will do my best to sign for as many people as possible. And then later tonight, I'm back in this panel room for the match game, which I have no idea what it is, but it's going to be fun. Well, thank you guys so much. Enjoy the con.